Nate, I was able to get hands on a game formerly known as Gods and Monsters. We're talking about Immortals Fenyx Rising by Ubisoft Quebec. These guys are the team behind Assassin's Creed and instantly brings that sense of AC to Immortals Fenyx Rising. It kind of got that cross between Assassin's Creed and Zelda. Gonna be honest, that Breath of the Wild touch, right, with that whole art style. They had its initial release set for February 25th, 2020, but then after kind of taking it back a little bit, they wanted to go with something a little bit more realistic looking. Even though it has its own unique art style, it definitely doesn't look as cartoonish as it did prior to when they initially were going to launch the game. So they took it back, redid some of the graphics, and they actually said they redid a lot of the game itself as well. And my time with the game was about 2.5 hours. I was in one region, and I think there's about seven or eight regions total that you can explore. And what's going on here is there's a narration between Zeus and Prometheus that kind of give you the overall story of Phoenix and herself is a demigod, and how she's kind of come back to save the island because Typhon is basically kind of destroyed it all, and there are no gods anymore, so she's out to kind of free the gods and bring the gods back. So it's kind of a unique twist on Greek. Cool. Yeah, it's very cool, dude. It's a twist on Greek mythology. And that's what I said, I had about 2.5 hours of game time, and in the region I was in, I was able to get a sense of the combat, and it's not overly complicated. It's something I think that's relatively quick and easy to get into, but when you start to realize what combos you can pull off, like you've got the abilities over on your right stick or your right analog section, and you know how you can use it with the trigger, and then I was using an Xbox controller, so you can use I think it was LB, you hold down and then it'll pop up your abilities and you select which one you want. And I was using a lot of the time, this one is it lifts you into the air and it shoots a bunch of arrows out, and then you could combo that with this big massive hammer that would come thundering down on everybody. And it was super cool to pull some of these combos off with your abilities and things like that. I was into a ton of puzzles. Over the 2.5 hours, I was able to almost accomplish about 80% of that region out of the total of 7 that I had. But the combat felt fluid. The only real problem I had with the game was that the run button is actually X. I had to hold down X. So
that's kind of an odd button.
Yeah, exactly, right? It was definitely a little weird. So from there, I asked we were teamed up with a Ubisoft rep that would kind of guide us through certain sections of the game if we had any questions, that sort of thing. And I asked him if we can we remap the controls, and he said yes, you can. So when the game does release on December 3rd, it's coming this year, so not too far away now at this point, but you'll be able to remap the control. I said great, because the first thing I'm going to do is remap that run button to my left analog stick. Dude, I don't know how many times I pressed down and it didn't run, right? So there are puzzles within puzzles, and there's these portals you transfer to, and they allow you to go and get Zeus's lightning bolt, and the lightning bolt allows you to get your upgrades. And there are certain upgrades, they have this light RPG element and a crafting system within the game. There was a skill tree, but it was locked off for the demo that we were in, but they kind of touched on things. Yeah, so they give you like god abilities and things like that, so it's something to look forward to and that kind of thing. I made a couple other notes. There's lots to collect. They always have collectibles. Like a lot of Ubisoft open world games have that, you know, that feel of, okay, we'll go over this way. They also brought back the thing called Far Sight. It's basically from the Assassin's Creed series. It allows you to click, and it kind of allows you to pan around your location and take a look and scan over objectives, more or less, that you can find. Instead of going right to the map, you just click in your stick and it brings up Farsight and allows you to go and check out the surrounding areas, and then you can find quests and things to loot. And there's chests, there's a whole day night cycle as well, and there's some chests you can only get at nighttime, which I thought was pretty cool. And you know, the Assassin's Creed, like Assassin's Creed Origins, if you ever played that, if you held down, I think it was a start button, you could instantly, your character would sit down and then it would flip into nighttime, right? Well, you can do that here with Phoenix as well. You can have a seat and she'll flip it from day cycle to night cycle. And then that will, if you're in the area, sometimes that'll spawn a night chest. I think I saw 2 night chests. And basically, if you see it during the day, it's just this this like holographic image, and you can't do anything about it. But then you come back at nighttime, or you just transfer over to nighttime, then it's well guarded. And I think that's one of the coolest parts too, is the creatures you fight in here, because it's Greek mythology, we're going up against like Minotaurs and Medusa and Cyclops and things of that nature, really, right? Cool. Yeah, it was really cool. I had a good time. It was intuitive enough that I wanted to play more, and I couldn't wait to, you know, get into the game. And where else could I explore? And it's all about exploring the world and finding out more secrets and things like that. And the puzzles, I thought some of the puzzles are pretty easy. Some of them are pretty challenging. There was this one I did. You had to guide your arrow through certain sections, and as I'm doing this, I got to a different area and I had to shoot it through, I think it was through the gate, but I could see the ledge. So I actually, the guy I was working with, he said, well, okay, you got to use one of your abilities here to go do this. I said, okay. Well, I didn't realize he meant just this arrow guided thing. So I used one of my abilities, you know, the one I just mentioned in the combat, where you shoot up the arrows from the ground. I did that, and then I double jumped over the wall, got in, and finished off the so it was kind of comical. He's like, man, I haven't seen anybody do that. I was like, well, that's cool. I wasn't sure what else to do, so that's what I did. It was cool. I had a good time. There's lots of customization with the character too. Phoenix, you can design her or him to be however you see fit, which is really cool. There's a lot of elements to the gear system that they're bringing to the game as well. So there's lots to discover, explore, and upgrade.
That's really cool, man. I'm really digging the graphic style that they've chosen. You know, since when we first saw it, honestly, it looks very different. Seeing some of the Cyclopses and Minotaurs, it looks really cool. It's got that Breath of the Wild feel, like you said.
Sure does.
Definitely with that stamina meter when you're kind of traversing on these cliff sides.
Well,
it had very much of a Zelda feel.
No, absolutely. Stamina plays a big portion of your progress through the game. It's a struggle, honestly. It really is. And it is one of the upgrade features that you'll be able to kind of work towards, because, man, like you can get on a mount, and your mount will have a huge stamina meter where you have just like more or less two rows. And like when you start climbing a mountain, you really need to gauge, just like Breath of the Wild, right? You really need to gauge how far you're going to go, or you're just not going to make it.
Mm-hmm. How would you consider the boss fights?
So there was one boss I was able to get in battle. It was, it wasn't too overcomplicated. I was able to get through it the first time. It came pretty close. I thought I was gonna die. Like, it was close, but it was fun. I was nice to get in there, and it was just, I don't know, like, it wasn't too complicated. It was a nice boss fight. It was definitely a beginner level boss fight too, right? So, but the world I think that they've created with this Greek mythology and the characters and everything around it is gonna have, if you like Greek mythology, I think this has a lighthearted touch that it will get you in, that you're gonna be playing with everybody, and whoever like sitting on the couch and watching you is gonna have a good time as well. I had a lot of fun when I was playing this, even though it was short. By the time it wrapped up, I was like, okay, I know I'm not allowed to go explore other areas, but that's like the next thing I wanted to do, right? I was ready to head off.
That's really what you want with these types of games. So man, that's exciting too. It's coming out this year, you said December?
Yeah, on December 3rd. So, and wow. One of the other things too I thought was really cool is if you're in a big group battle, and if you work the angles properly, the enemies actually can hit the other enemies. So
that's fun. The friendly fire.
Well, exactly. So yeah, there's a bit of a friendly fire thing going on, right? So the Minotaur, he'll charge, but if you line up the charge properly, you can get behind other enemies and he'll barrel right through them, so they'll lose health too.
Do they ever turn against each other, or is it more just like they'll wound each other?
No, they'll just wound each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like Doom where they just start fighting each other.
No, not at all. No.
But that's still really cool. I like that. That's something you don't see a lot in most games, honestly. So
No, I thought it was a nice touch. I thought it was super cool. They have a good touch on air mechanics as well, because you can do a whole air combo a lot of time, and if you're able to glide with it's like these Pegasus wings too in certain areas. If you get up high enough to go get to this next quest or a puzzle mechanic, you can actually glide over. But again, you gotta watch your stamina meter, right? That plays a big part in the game itself.
Alright, man, so you did mention earlier that there's this RPG system, so you kind of gotta break it down for me. Is it this power level system where each piece of gear has its own kind of armor that you slowly progress forward? Are they like legendaries? Do they break down like in Breath of the Wild, or are they permanently there?
No, it's basically you're getting new gear as you go, right? It's that's what I mean. It's lighthearted. It's a quick system. It allows you to get in and hunt for new loot. You're always looking for something new, but you're also able to go out in the world and grab. You're able to craft items too, so you can grab flowers and things that are out there, and then go to a crafting station, and then you'll be able to work on getting like health potion and stamina potions and things like that. But when it comes to the gear, you're able to swap out new helmets, new weapons, new armor, and all that kind of stuff, and then make your Phoenix look how you want Phoenix to look. Which is, man, one of my favorite things to do is designing and getting my own character to look like mine. So that way, when you're playing, your Phoenix looks like yours, and my Phoenix looks the way I want Phoenix to look, which is always cool.
Okay, that's so. Other than cosmetically, do they actually do certain, like, do they have a level system per se? Or is it just like, you know, this helmet looks like this and it has these buffs?
Nope, they all have certain stats to them and things like that, right? So you're gonna want to pay attention to what perks this piece of gear is gonna have versus that lesser piece of gear maybe that you have. Like one helmet will outdo the next helmet sometimes, or it could be a lesser of the two, and you're not going to want to use that helmet, right?
Okay. So yeah, I guess so. It is this. You're kind of constantly getting new loot.
Yep, absolutely. There's definitely that loot and kind of system within it. It gives you that very touch of Assassin's Creed Origins. I wouldn't say it's as in depth as Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I think I would step it back to Origins. Yeah, exactly, right? So it's allowed to, I think, bring in players that maybe aren't that familiar with these systems and still be able to learn them, that aren't going to overpower them and overcomplicate things too much to where they're going to get frustrated and leave the game.
Yeah. I also saw that you have a mount. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the mount is pretty cool. It's this steel horse, and when you're out in the world, actually, you can find other ones and tame them to make new mounts, which is always pretty neat.
That's cool. Yeah, because they're metal. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. The game is really cool, and then the way it's told through the narration, at least in our demo here, it was told in this fourth wall. Like they were breaking down the fourth wall between Zeus and Prometheus, and they were making jokes and cracks about Ubisoft themselves, right? Now that was tailored a little bit towards the demo of the game, but there is a lot of that sense of humor as well in the game itself. So like that was really cool. That's what I mean. It's got that lighthearted touch, and the enemies aren't like, nothing here is scary, right? It's got that charm to it. I think it's going to be really appreciated by a lot of people, and it's just addicting to get in, search the world, grab new loot, and just do other puzzles, find more to the story, and just glide around. And the world is absolutely stunning, man. The thing, like, it looks great.
It looks fantastic, and we've seen a few different biomes, so it's not just like this kind of desert, not really deserty, but you know, this mountainous area that we're seeing. We've seen so much.
Oh yeah, no, it's very cool. So Nate, that was Immortals Fenyx Rising. This is looking pretty good, man. I gotta be honest. I was hooked for my 2.5 hours, and that was just scratching the surface. So I definitely can't wait to get more in depth on this on December 3rd.
Oh man, I cannot wait to get my hands on this too to review it with you, to be honest. So I have one last question for you, man.
Yep.
Where can we play this? Is this going to be just on the next generation consoles? Is this going to be on PC? Where are we going to be able to play this?
No, actually, man, Ubisoft is bringing this to absolutely everything. PC,
Wow.
Switch, Stadia, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, PS5, PS4. Like it's everywhere. So everybody's going to be able to get their hands on this on December 3rd. And yeah, this is going to be a great holiday title. I'm looking forward to this one.
Oh man, yeah.